Today is Thursday, May something. I am not positive. And my nose keeps running. Apologies for that. I was thinking about what I could talk about in this video, and I thought that maybe I would talk about a subject that I wanted to talk about in the last video, but I never got a chance to. And I kind of glazed over it a little bit. Also, I want to do a little shout out if I could. This is kind of abnormal for me, but I wanted to give a shout out to the platform of BitChute, because BitChute is, if you don't know anything about me, I am currently censored and banned from all mainstream major social media platforms. Some people may say it was because I thought differently than other people, or because I was too controversial, or because I just wasn't following the rules, or because I just thought differently than everybody else. But YouTube, most of the main platforms, there's still tons of other platforms, but I just haven't been inspired enough to follow them through. And one day I just decided, let's try BitChute. And the thing that's really cool about BitChute is, from day one, when I signed up there and I had a question, the company, whoever it is, if it's a computer, I don't think so, but whoever is running that platform has been in communication with me through anything, through everything, through any question I had when I was first uploading a video. And I was really nervous because I thought when I uploaded my video on BitChute, I was like, wow, this is like a platform, and I haven't done a video in years, and I'm scared that it's gonna be either taken off immediately or censored immediately, or they'll just see my name and they'll just say no go. And that didn't happen. So I just have been kind of, you know, I don't want to jinx anything, but I've been, you know, very, very grateful to BitChute for welcoming me onto their platform and being brave enough to have me on their platform and take a risk with having me on their platform, even though I don't think I'm that risky. But there's a lot of us out there now who have been censored, have been banned on all kinds of social media, especially on Facebook. And I actually predicted this a while ago, where I said it's gonna start with me and a few others, but it's gonna progressively get worse, watch. And it turned out I was right, because if you look at the news, you'll see that Facebook, not exactly the free thinkers' greatest podium or platform, is clamping down on people that they, or groups that they feel are just not what they want. So I wanted to thank BitChute for being brave enough and cool enough to actually have me on their platform. And I appreciate that very much. And even though I'm starting at the very beginning again, you know, and I'm not concerned about numbers. I'm not concerned about how many people, you know, or if I can sustain it enough to make an income, even though that's everybody's goal. I'm just very grateful for the fact that, you know, still, I think a month now I've been on the platform, I'm still there. And a good number of people are actually coming over and watching the videos. Shout out to BitChute. And every time I put up a video or a vlog or something, they retweet it or they share it with, you know, on their Twitter. And that's really cool, because I don't think they have to do that. It's just nice. So shout out to BitChute for just existing and for allowing me to see if I can kind of walk my way back, slowly start climbing up to the top of the summit again, in terms of having a public platform. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about in this car vlog is I wanted to talk about time travel. And I wanted to talk about whether or not only if we believe that it exists, but if it exists and kind of closes off. I don't know if this is going to make any sense to anybody watching it, but I'm fascinated with time travel. I'm fascinated with, you know, history. I'm fascinated with the human brain. And I've always thought that, you know, one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future. Ever since I can remember, Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3. If I was on a desert island, I could have any movies, it would be all the Back to the Future movies, because I feel that they just encapsulated everything that I love so much about a great film, and great entertainment, and show business, which is what I love, which is what I feel is kind of like a lost art form. I watched parts of the Met Gala this year. I watched it, you know, on the internet, on YouTube, like a lot of people, you know, and they had the Met Gala, the arrivals, and the theme this year was camp. I was surprised a lot of people actually didn't go even more far out, but it's very difficult for me to follow a lot of mainstream media, a lot of current movies, a lot of current film, a lot of current music, because I feel that sort of the substance and the magic of show business is sort of in a bygone era. It's kind of done. I think it's being brought back by certain artists, and those artists I love, that are sort of like kickbacks to the older generation. But I feel for the most part, because of social media and the veil has been lifted, that people feel it's more important what's behind the veil as opposed to the show nowadays. Therefore, in other words, people are more preoccupied with the behind the scenes. They're more preoccupied with, here's a good metaphor, they're more preoccupied with, like in The Wizard of Oz, I talked about this in my last video. People are more preoccupied with, like, the wizard's, you know, history, and the wizard's depression, and the wizard's bipolar, than they are Oz, and how he made this magical place come alive. If the Germans never invaded, or the Nazis never came to power, how would our world be different? Would it be different? What is the sort of weight of these events in our past that truly skew the butterfly effect? Meaning, if these huge events, you know, that they teach in school, which history is not always the truth. History is usually, in my opinion, it's told from the people who won. History is told by the perspective, you know, of the writer of the book, or, you know, the person. So history in itself is very arbitrary. But time travel, I think, I want it to be possible. I want it to be possible because there's so many times in my life where I felt like I am just not in the right time. Either I had a past life and I was somebody else that existed maybe in ancient Egyptian time, and I did a lot, or a lot of bad things happened, and maybe that's why I'm the way I am today, and that can explain a lot of the things I deal with today. Or maybe I was someone in the future and the stuff I'm going through now is preparing me for that. I don't know. What I wonder is, do you think our current reality is kind of like a layover? Do you think our current reality is sort of this weird amoeba person kind of going through the motions until we get to the next life, and then that's where we find out who we really are? Does that make any sense, or do I sound completely insane? These are things I think about on a daily basis. A lot of people now, today, in our world, I think, feel lost and purposeless, and like we're going through the motions. And for me, when I feel like that, I wonder if that's because this is the dress rehearsal for what comes next. This is the, I don't want to say game, but this is the universe's way of setting me up to walk into what I will become. Or if you believe in time travel or past lives from our past, then who you are right now in this moment in 2019 is a byproduct of who you were 100 years ago. You know, maybe you were General Lee. Maybe you were a child, an orphan child in ancient, you know, China or something, who had an abusive childhood, and you used to have your feet beaten in to fit into shoes, and that's why today you have bad feet. I don't know. I know I sound like I probably should be committed with some of the things I'm talking about. But maybe that's why I'm me. And I have such a hard time relating to our world, our current world. And I crave and seek out the past or the future. I have a very hard time existing in the now. And I know that can be, people can look at that and they'll say, well then, Jamie, that's why you have depression. That's why you have anxiety. That's why you're bipolar. That's why, you know, you have these flaws. And that could be very true, because that would, in a sense, justify my mismanagement of my current self. Anyway, time travel. So, talking about time travel. Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3. Back to the Future 1. So obsessed. Biggest nerd for Back to the Future. Back to the Future 1. Great story. I saw it when I was living in Walt Disney World. I remember they had it back in the theater, and I went by myself, and everybody came. I think this was the start of cosplay. Everybody came dressed up as Marty or Lorraine, and we watched it on the big screen, and it was great. It was like the first time. Robert Zemeckis directed it. Steven Spielberg was involved, and we follow Marty just kind of in his everyday life, and we see him going back in time and seeing his parents and seeing how that affects his present. Very simple story in that one. Back to the Future 2, we start to delve a little bit into Marty's future, where a lot of people made these conspiracy videos because wasn't Back to the Future 2 2015? So they started actually looking for parables of things that maybe Back to the Future 2 did get correct, like the Cubs won, that we had holograms everywhere. What's funny is a lot of things actually did end up coming true. Hill Valley, we started dipping into the butterfly effect a lot in Back to the Future 2. Marty would see where he ended up in his life, and he didn't like certain things, so he would change them. And then Doc would warn him. He would be like, don't do that, because the minute you do this, then this is going to happen. You know, you get fired from this job on this day. And Marty's like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to deal with this boss that treats me like dirt. So he changed it. And then it turns out like he wouldn't have had his children. Back to the Future 3, we go to the Old West. And like a lot of people, Back to the Future 3, for some reason, I don't know why, it was like very hit or miss with a lot of the fans. And Back to the Future 3, for me, I didn't like it at first. I was never really like a Wild West fan in movies. So I don't think I gravitated just to the theme of it. But then when I watched it a couple years later, and I was a little bit older, Back to the Future 3 has actually become one of my favorites. Because I think as I've gotten older, and as we get older and we start to realize what things really matter and are important, you know, it starts to touch much more to home. We see Doc have a love interest, and a love life, and a love storyline. And it was great. And I think Back to the Future, ironically, has the same message as Wizard of Oz when it comes to time travel, that If you have enough and you aren't appreciating it, no going to the present, no going to the future or the past is going to amend anything. There's a lot of people who say they've traveled through time. I'm not saying I'm a time traveler in any means. By any means. I'm not saying I'm someone who has gone to the past. I'm not saying I'm someone who can foreshadow things or has predicted things in the future. Because then I'm probably, you know, you guys want to 5150 me right away. I will say that there's been many times where I have felt, I have dreamed things that were going to happen, and they have. I have seen things that were going to take place that have. I have felt things that have not happened yet, and then they happened. And I don't tell people, and I don't say anything because you're crazy or you're mentally ill. So people that experience those things obviously are going to be inclined to just not talk about it. I would be lying if I said that I didn't have visions of things that were going to happen, and they did happen, and they were confirmed. I've seen things that were going to take place, and people could argue, well, it's too vague. It's too anybody could say that. And that's true. But I can't explain some things that I've felt that were going to happen with certain people that have happened. That I don't see as vague. That I don't see as, you know, there's some sort of clairvoyance maybe there. I am not a psychic by any means, but I do feel like I'm very highly intuitive, and that allows me to see a lot of things. I had a dream last night talking about time travel, and I woke up and I don't know where I was or what I looked like or necessarily what I was doing, but it was the year 2400. I'll say that again, and I'll try to say it with a straight face, because at this point, I'm sure most people are probably going to want to click off. Oh, Jamie. I had a dream last night, and whatever was going on, I woke up, and it was the year 2400. It might have been 2300, but I'm not positive. I don't know where I was. I felt like I was kind of in a simulation, kind of maybe like a virtual reality game. People still look like people. Cars still look like cars. There were no flying cars, unfortunately. And the first emotion that I felt, and this was why I wanted to make this vlog today in this video, was because the first emotion that I felt when I woke up from that dream, where I felt like I literally walked into 2400, the year, was terror. And I don't want to say fear. I want to say terror, because what I saw I think it would scare a lot of people today. And what I saw was a lot of technology. What I saw was a lot of isolation. What I saw was a lot of ravage, is that the correct word, of our natural planet. But it somehow was being presented like everything was okay. It was somehow being presented like it's just life as usual. People were going to jobs. People were still, you know, paying bills. People were still walking dogs. But the earth and the planet was not good. It was sick. I don't know if that's gonna come true. I hope it doesn't. I think the biggest thing I got from that is in the year 2400, a lot is still the same. And that's probably gonna disappoint a lot of, like, you know, time travel buffs or futurists, because they think, wow, technology is going to take over and we're going to have this and this and this. But if you actually look back to like Puritan times and even as far back as, you know, Neanderthal, we really, as a species, haven't evolved that much. It's not us that's evolved. It's what we've created, technology. So you're going to think this is absolutely insane. I woke up. I was in the year 2400. I don't know how it was that year. I think somebody was walking with some kind of, it looked like an iPad, and I saw 2400. I saw a date. I saw like a weather thing. You know how we have weather on our phones right now? And it said 2400. Men were still in pants. Women were still in pants. Women still wore makeup. People, you know, were still looking like people. There were no robot people, so I don't know what that says to the AI community, but I don't know. That's why I wanted to make this video about time travel, because I don't know, I didn't go to sleep watching anything about time travel. It freaked me out a little bit, but it was the year 2400, and a lot was the same. I don't know, guys. I don't know.